The San Jose Sharks have a new GM and a new philosophy. JD Young of Locked On Sharks is here to talk about that and what direction the coaching search is headed. All that and more coming up on the Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast. Gil Martin, so glad you could join us today. And thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. It's my pleasure to welcome back to the show JD Young, the host of Locked On Sharks. It's been a very busy offseason in San Jose. JD, thanks for stopping by tonight.
No problem. Yeah, it's been basically an entire offseason shoved into 2 weeks for the Sharks. It's been pretty fun.
Let's start at the beginning. Your thoughts on Mike Grier and his hiring as GM and what he brings to the table.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Grier, of course, being the first Black general manager in NHL history. He's doesn't have too much when it comes to front office experience, but he's been around hockey his whole life, knows a lot of people, was working with the Rangers before getting hired by the Sharks, coached for a while too, scouted. So he's kind of got a nice little bit of everything that he can to pull from. So, and he's been very, kind of clear about with the Sharks where we're going to have to take a step back to take steps forward, which is something we have not heard from the Sharks in a long time. They've been we're not rebuilding. We're not, we're going to retool. We're going to try to keep this core together. But Mike Grier in his opening press conference said, sometimes you have to take a step back to take steps forward. And we've seen that now, trading away Brent Burns and, who is a kind of a long-time Shark, and now, continuing to try to work with this tough cap situation and try to find some flexibility with the cap.
How strange will it be not seeing Brent Burns in teal this fall?
It's going to take some getting used to. Burns has been there, for over, 11 seasons with the Sharks. Hadn't missed a game since the 2013-2014 season. My dog is drinking right now. So, it's going to be really weird not seeing Burns back there patrolling the blue line. But, he's 37. He wants to win a cup. The Sharks aren't going to win a cup in the next 3 years. And it's good for him to go to a team to try to win a cup. We've gone through Patty Marleau trying to win a cup, wasn't able to. Joe Thornton, go win a cup, not able to. Joe Pavelski, go win a cup, not able to. 1 for 4, right? We can hope for 1 for 4.
What are your initial thoughts about the decision by Grier to say, we're going to rebuild, we're going to take a step back to take 2 steps forward? Because, like you mentioned, the Sharks have not admitted that over the last few years, and a lot of people felt they should have gone that route. Your thoughts on what Grier is trying to do right now? Yeah,
I mean, I've been very, vocal that this thing should have been torn down a long time ago, and I don't know. I don't think he said they're not going to go full like Coyotes rebuild, like burn this thing to the ground and then try to start over type of situation. But and you can't really with the contracts they have, especially, you just signed Tomas Hertl 8 years. He's 28 right now. You still have Carlson for the next, 5 years. Vlasic's on the book for the next 4 years. Couture's on the book for the next, 4 to 5 years now. So you can't really, a lot of these contracts you can't move off without attaching major assets, and then that's just going to set you back even further in your rebuild. So, but trying to kind of take the team in a different direction. It's what the Sharks have needed. They've kind of been in a very kind of creamy middle where they don't know if they're not quite good enough to make the playoffs, but they're not good enough to fully tank. And I think taking a step back this year, especially what's supposed to be a very loaded draft class, and trying to find that potential superstar to pair with William Eklund for the future is the best thing the Sharks could do this year.
What do you expect the team to do between now and the start of training camp to get ready for this season?
I mean, there's still the Vlasic issue. They might be able to buy him out there. They have arbitration now with 2 other players, so that opens up that second buyout window. But I would expect them to, they still have to kind of make some decisions on, they have 3 goalies in Aiden Hill, Capo Kakinen, and James Reimer. So I expect one of those guys to be moved before the season starts, because I don't think you can realistically go into the season with 3 NHL caliber goalies on your roster. And Kevin LeBanc there's been questions of maybe potentially trading him, and then Radim Shimmick, who doesn't seem like he's going to be much longer on the roster for the Sharks, especially with his 2 years. I think it's like $2.25 million contract where you might have to attach an asset to get rid of him. And so, yeah, they still have some decisions. And of course, they're still looking for a head coach. They're starting little details there. So they're starting their head coach search now. I think they're interviewing Joe Sacco, who was an assistant coach for the Bruins. Previously was also the Avalanche head coach way back in the day too. So yeah, so Grier is kind of behind the 8 ball there with trying to put together a staff now, as a lot of the coaches have already been kind of plucked off the market.
Your thoughts about what direction they should go in as far as the head coach is concerned, what style of coach they should be looking for?
Preferably, I want like an AHL type of coach, someone who's worked with a lot of young players, especially because the Sharks have a lot of young players. I mean, they started the most rookies in the NHL last season. Their 2020 draft class, which looks like they might potentially get 3, 4, even 5 NHL caliber players out of it. They're on the San Jose Sharks Barracuda team now. So somebody who can work with these players and kind of put these young guys in the position to succeed and let them kind of grow and really try to get the most out of these players. So that's the direction I would want, maybe like the Lightning's AHL coach, or, I know his name's been kind of thrown around, but it'll most likely be a retread because that's the NHL.
True. Very true. Wanted to briefly touch about the passing of Brian Marchman. I know that was very upsetting, and I'm sure Sharks fans were very shocked by it, and NHL fans in general. I mean, he was a part of this league and a good part of this league for a while. What did he mean to the Sharks organization, and what can you tell us about his life?
It's you hear from basically every prospect, every player about how much he meant to them. NHL players saying like they wouldn't be there if it wasn't for him. And I think especially the way he worked with like the prospects and kind of helped them come along, and everyone said he was one of the hardest players to play against on the ice, but one of the nicest people off the ice. And one of the coolest things that the Sharks did was actually with their development camp. Of course, every team has like a scrimmage game. They actually they switched it to a 3-on-3, kind of a round robin tournament with the winner. The winning team, they actually have a Brian Marchman trophy now. So like there's this awesome photo of Brandon Coe holding this trophy up above his head after his team won it. And I thought that was a really nice touch. And hopefully, it's something that can kind of take off and mean something for, these prospects as they come in and, being able to win it as kind of just a nice little thing to kind of hang your hat on around the facility.
JD, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
Of course, you can find the podcast wherever you get podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Odyssey. You can subscribe on YouTube as well. And you can find me on Twitter at MyFryhole.
All right, JD, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Gil.
Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including Major League Baseball. And you've got futures on the NBA, the NFL, and the NHL as well. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and more. And BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check on all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, tennis, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts.